Hi, my name is Sumaya Jibril. Today's webinar is going to be about Carnets and 19 CFR, Part 114. And my company is Phoenix Global Shipping. I'm a licensed customs broker. So let's discuss 114 scope. This part is concerned with the use of international customs document known as Carnets. It also contains the provision concerning the approval of associations to issue Carnets in the United States covering merchandise to be exported and to guarantee Carnets issued abroad covering merchandise to be imported. The Carnet service serves simultaneously as a customs entry document and as a customs bond. The following are general definitions for the purpose of Part 14. Commissioner. Commissioner means the Commissioner of Customs. Issuing association means an association approved by Commissioner for the issuing of in the customs territory of the United States under customs convention or bilateral agreement to which the United States is acceded. Guaranteeing association means that an association approved by the commissioner to guarantee the payment of obligation under Carnet covering merchandise entering the customs territory of the United States under a customs convention or bilateral agreement to which the United States has acceded. ATA Carnet. ATA Carnet is admission temporary admission, meaning that the document reproduced as the annex to the custom convention of the ATA Carnet for the temporary admission of goods. TIR Carnet. TIR Carnet is Transport International Router, means that the document reproduced as Annex 1 to the Customs Convention on the International Transport of Goods under cover of TIR Carnet. TECRO and AIT Carnet means that the document issued pursuant to the bilateral agreement between the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office and the American Institute in Taiwan covers the temporary admission of goods. The regulation in this part relates to Carnet provided in the following customs conventions and agreements. A. Customs Convention on the ATA Carnet for the temporary admission of goods, referred to as the ATA Convention. C. Customs Convention on the International Transport of Goods under cover of TIR Carnet done at the Geneva on November 14, 1975, as well as the 1959 TIR Convention, TIAS 6633. D. Agreement between the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office in the United States and the American Institute of Taiwan, Carnet for the temporary admission of goods, referred to in this agreement. Use of Carnet. A Carnet issued in conformity with the provision of a convention or agreement identified in 19 CFR 114.2 and with the regulation in this part shall serve as the entry document within the scope contemplated by an applicable convention or agreement and as a bond for a performance of acts in compliance with the provisions of such conventions or agreements and the customs status and regulation which are involved. Such Carnet shall show the period for which it is valid, be fully completed in accordance with the provision of the convention or agreement which provides for its issuance, include in English translation whenever the goods covered by Carnet are described in another language. The area of validity. Carnets are valid in customs territory of the United States, which includes only the states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico. Documents to be furnished. Before an association may be approved to serve as an issuing association or guaranteeing association in the United States, with respect to carnets authorized under a customs convention or agreement to which the United States has acceded, such association shall furnish the commissioners a written undertaking in a form satisfactory to the commissioner to perform the function and fulfill the obligations specified in the convention agreement under the carnet which are to be issued or guaranteed. They'll need evidence of affiliation with an appropriate international organization. It should be required if affiliation with such organization is required by the convention or agreement under which carnets are to be issued or guaranteed. Publication of notice of approval. Notice of approval of an issuing association or a guaranteeing association with respect to a customs convention agreement to which the United States has acceded, which will be published in the Federal Register by the Commissioner. Termination of approval. So there needs to be for cause, one of them. The commissioner may suspend or revoke the approval previously given to any issuing association or guaranteeing association for failure or refusal to comply with the duties, obligation, or requirements set forth on its written undertaking on which approval was based in the applicable customs convention or in the customs regulation, or upon termination of the affiliation with the appropriate international organization required by 19 CFR 114.11a. Before such suspension or revocation, the Commissioner shall give the Association a reasonable opportunity to refute the alleged failure of compliance. Withdrawal. To be relieved of future obligation, an approved guarantee association must notify the Commissioner in writing not less than 6 months in advance of specified termination date that it will not guarantee the payment of obligation under Carnet accepted by district directors of customs after the specified date. The receipt of such notice by the Commissioner will in no way affect the responsibility of the guaranteeing association for payment of claims on Carnet accepted by district directors before the designated termination date. Notice. Notice of the suspension or revocation of the approval of issuing association or guaranteeing association, or the approval of an approved guaranteeing association with respect to a customs convention to which the United States has acceded, which will be published in the Federal Register by the Commissioner. So those are three things, three ways that the termination of approval uh, could be possible. Processing of Carnet, subpart C. This is found in 19 CFR 114.21 acceptance. A carnet executed in accordance with 114.3 shall be accepted, provided that when the carnet is presented as an association for the guaranteeing such as carnet has been approved in accordance with 114.11, and such approval has not been terminated as provided for in 114.12. Coverage for carnet. ATA carnet. The ATA carnet is acceptable for goods to be temporarily entered and transported under the Customs Convention on the temporary importation of professional equipment, or the International Convention to facilitate the importation of commercial samples and advertising material, which includes commercial samples or motion pictures, advertised films not exceeding 16 millimeters, consisting essentially of photographs with or without soundtracks, showing the nature or operations of products or equipments whose qualities cannot be adequately demonstrated by samples or catalogs. There shall be presented with each carnet covering motion picture advertising film a statement showing how each of the following requirements is met. The film must A. relate to product or equipment offered for sale or for hire by a person established in the territory of another contracting party. B. of kind suitable for exhibition to the public, and be imported in a packet which contains not more than one copy of each film, which does not form part of a large consignment of films. TIR Carnets. The use of them. TIR carnets may be accepted at any port of entry for the transport of merchandise in road vehicles or in containers, even if the containers, without being loaded or on road vehicles, are carried by other means of transport for part of that journey between customs office of departure and destination. The TIR carnet may also be accepted for the transport of heavy or bulky goods as defined in Article 1 of the TIR Convention. The TIR carnet covers transportation of merchandise for customs purposes only. Road vehicles transporting merchandise under cover of TIR carnet must also comply with all other applicable requirements of federal and state agencies concerned with regulation of such vehicles and their personnel. 2. Take on charge. A TIR carnet is take on charge by customs when it's accepted as a transportation entry and when the shipment is covered thereby is received for by the bonded carrier. And it's found in 18.21, 18.1, 18.2, 18.10 of the 19 CFR, this chapter. Until the carnet is taken on charge, the guaranteeing association shall have no liability to the United States under the carnet. TECRO AIT carnet. The use of that. The TECRO AIT carnet is acceptable for the following two categories of goods to be temporarily imported, unless importation is prohibited under the laws and regulation of the United States. Professional equipments, commercial samples, and advertising material imported for the purpose of being shown or demonstrated with a view to soliciting orders. Issue and use. Issuing association shall indicate on the cover of the TECRO AIT Carnet to the customs territory in which it's valid and the name and address of the guaranteeing association. The period fixed for re-exportation of goods imported under the cover of the AIT carnet shall not in any case exceed the period of validity on that carnet. Excess liability. When the total of duties and taxes on any shipment covered by a carnet exceeds the amount for which its guaranteeing association is liable, the excess constitutes a charge against the carrier's bond. Maximum period. ATA carnet. No ATA carnet with a period of validity exceeding 1 year from the date of issue shall be accepted. This period of validity cannot be extended. TIA carnet. A TIR carnet. A TIR carnet may be accepted without limitation as to time, provided it's initially taken on charge by Customs Administration, United States or foreign, within the period of validity shown on its front cover. TECRO AIT carnet. A TECRO AIT carnet shall not be issued with a period of validity exceeding 1 year from the date of issue. This period of validity cannot be extended, must be shown on the front cover of the carnet. Additions. When ATA or TECRO AIT carnet has been issued, no extra item shall be added to the list of goods enumerated on the reverse of the cover of the carnet or any continuation annexed thereinto. Replacement of carnets. In the case of distraction, loss, or theft of the ATA, AIT carnet while the goods which it covers are in the customs territory of the United States, the director of the port where such goods were imported may, upon request of the association which issued the carnet abroad, accept a replacement document, the validity of which expires on the same date as the carnet which it replaces, provided that the port director determines that the description of merchandise in the replacement document fully corresponds to the description set forth in the importation voucher from the carnet to be replaced. In the 19 CFR 114.26, discharge, non-acceptance, or cancellation of carnets. Unconditional discharge. An ATA or AIT carnet shall be discharged unconditionally by the port director when he is satisfied that all merchandise covered thereby is re-exported or destroyed. A TIR carnet shall be discharged unconditionally when all merchandise covered thereby has been properly entered, placed in general order, or exported under customs supervision. In all other cases, any discrepancy shall be noted on the appropriate counterfoil, and action shall be taken in accordance with 10.39 or 18.6 of this chapter. Effective discharge. When a port director has discharged a carnet unconditionally by completion of the appropriate counterfoil, no claim may be brought against the guaranteeing association for payment under the carnet unless it can be established that the discharge was obtained improperly or fraudulently, or in the case of an ATA or AIT carnet, that there has been a breach of the conditions of temporary importation. Non-acceptance or cancellation of TIR carnet. If a TIR carnet presented to customs is not accepted, it shall be stamped not taken on charge. See 19 CFR 114.22. If merchandise is not required to be transported on bond moving under cover of a TIR carnet is not exported, the carnet shall be stamped canceled. Subpart D, miscellaneous, 114.31, restrictions. Mail importations. Carnet shall not be accepted for importations by mail. Temporary importations. Merchandise not entitled to temporary importation under bond shall not be imported under cover of ATA or AIT carnet. Transportation and bond. Except as provided in 19 CFR 18.43 of this chapter, merchandise not entitled to transportation and bond shall not be transported under the cover of the TIR carnet. Samples for taking orders. ATA or AIT carnet may be accepted for unaccompanied samples and samples imported by a natural person resident in the customs territory of the United States, as well as for samples imported by a natural person resident in territory of another country, of another contracting party to the ATA Convention or TECRO AIT agreement. In 19 CFR 114.33, action against Carnet user. In the event of a fraud, violation, or abuse of privilege of a convention agreement, actions may be taken against the user of Carnet for applicable duties and charges or liquidated damages, as the case may be. Penalties to which such person have thereby rendered themselves liable may also be imposed. Cancellation of erroneous charge, ATI or Carnet. When it's determined that liquidated damage assessed or paid for any shortage, irregular delivery, or non-delivery of merchandise covered by a TI or Carnet did not in fact occur, the liquidated damage shall be canceled by the port director, and if paid, refunded as provided by 18.8 of this chapter. ATA or AIT Carnet. When it's determined that a liquidated damage assessed or paid for failure to properly re-export or destroy merchandise temporarily imported under cover of ATA or AIT Carnet did not in fact occur, the liquidated damage shall be canceled by the port director and if paid, refunded as provided by 10.39 of this chapter. Determination dependent upon construction of law. When the determination of whether or not the charge was erroneously made depends upon constructions of law, the charge shall not be canceled without the approval of the Commissioner of Customs unless there is a ruling by the Commissioner of Customs decisive of that issue. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. Again, my name is Sumaya Jibril. I'm a licensed customs broker and the company is Phoenix Global Shipping. Please visit us at phoenixglobalshipping.com. If you want to import or export anything from the United States, you need a customs broker, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much and have a great day.